Hello, Barbados. We have just wrapped up a successful crop over season. And yes, Jordan English had the whole nation singing Dark as On. And for a time, we put on our shades, we danced, we laughed, we reunited in joy and revelry in what is the sweetest summer festival. But today, I'm asking you to take the darkers off with me so that we can see plainly, we can see clearly the work that has been done while the music was playing. At the outset, let me say that this is not a political speech of any sorts. This is a sober, mature conversation between a government and its people, discussing a few matters that have come before our parliament in recent weeks. Because I know all too well that in a world of loud opinions and quick rumors, conspiracy theories, WhatsApp broadcasts, comments from ghost accounts on Facebook and IG, it is not enough anymore for me to just say, people know better. We as a government must and will go further. We must be clear about what is real, what is right, and what is required. You deserve that, and as your Prime Minister, I owe that to you. Before I turn to the measures, permit me a word about the standard we must keep. For more than 3 decades, more than half my life, I've served this country in Parliament. Barbados' Parliament has bred a culture of serious evidence-based debate. That has been my experience. We must not let imported conspiracy theories and cheap fare take root in our country. Today, I want to cut through the noise, to show you how we are protecting our people, protecting their rights, strengthening justice while strengthening safeguards, and preparing our country for the next mile of the journey. I want you to feel, as I do, that Barbados is moving in the right direction, because we are. Even if we slow down or pause at some points, believe me when I tell you that we are still heading in the right direction. And there is room on this road for every single one of us. Over the last few weeks, Parliament worked long hours while the island reveled and recovered from the revelry. Some of us enjoyed the festival, as is our right and as we should, but that did not distract us from our work. 5 justice and safety bills moved through the House of Assembly. Critical education reforms were outlined by the Minister of Education, and new immigration bills and citizenship bills were introduced into Parliament. The Senate took steps that will advance the healthcare and community renewal by the approval of the Saudi loan. This is the quiet and glamorous necessary work of nation building that you expect of this administration. I will level with you about each measure, what it does, how it protects you, where the guardrails are, and why it matters now. My government will do the work. We will explain the work. And we will invite you to help us as well do that work. So, my friends, that is a clear message that nation building starts at home with each and every one of us. This week in the House of Assembly, we moved decisively with the Family Leave Bill 2025. It is a modern law for a modern Barbados. It establishes statutory paternity leave and is therefore historic. 3 weeks for fathers so that men can be present from day one. It strengthens maternity protections and rebrands the maternity grant as a gender-inclusive child grant because, plain and simple, the help is for the child and the family. And in the hardest moments, where, God forbid, a mother dies in childbirth, the bill provides additional time for fathers to stabilize the home, to strengthen the family. My friends, this is dignity at work and dignity at home. This is about building families. And why does this matter? Because early bonding and hands-on fathering are not luxuries. They're the foundations of healthier children and stronger families. I've always said that that is one of the reasons why I'm who I am. And in this world in which we live, we need fathers in their children's lives as early as possible, fathers and mothers. Because a fair workplace culture where men can step forward and women are not punished for motherhood lifts productivity and lowers turnover of staff. And because a country that talks about safety and standards must also honor the people doing the caring at 3 a.m. in the morning when the rest of us are asleep. This is not a perk. It is a policy with purpose. Barbados, this is what government looks like when it is mission motivated, protecting families, opening opportunity, and building capacity. moving the country in the right direction. Similarly, we have policy and law with a purpose with the Interception of Communications Bill. And let me say at the outset, all 5 bills would have gone to a serious consultation with not only the social partnership, but members of the Social Justice Committee and also the Advisory Council on Citizen Security. So that before even coming to Parliament, there was a wide range of consultation. Barbadians, in fact, want us to do something about crime, about organized networks, about illegal guns, about the brazen planning that hides behind screens and encrypted devices. We listen to the police, who continue to do an excellent job, as recent as yesterday, even in picking back up those who have eluded custody. We studied the best practices in our region and internationally. And we brought a law that allows targeted judge-issued warrants to intercept communications only for the most serious offenses and matters of national security. Let me be crystal clear. This is not a free-for-all, and this is not a minister's toy. No politician can grant a warrant. Only the Chief Justice or a judge specifically assigned by him can authorize an interception. The warrant is time-bound. Irrelevant material gathered must be destroyed. There is an independent monitoring mechanism appointed by the President of Barbados to oversee how the power is used. And when evidence is gathered, it will be tested in open court, challenged by defense counsel, scrutinized by the prosecution, weighed by the judge or the jury, as it should be in a democracy. Some say, Prime Minister, is this politically motivated? I say, absolutely not. Let's get real. Crime does not check to see if somebody is a bee or a dem before it knocks on the door. Our duty is to protect all Bajans, full stop. Others say, but the term national security is broad. Could it be abused? That is exactly why we put the power in the hands of the judiciary. And may I remind you that every day we trust our judges to settle disputes in our lives. That is exactly why we bound all of this by time limits. Exactly why we mandated the destruction of what evidence or what intel is not relevant. Exactly why we created an oversight structure. Rights are not to be a casualty of safety, and safety cannot be a casualty of inaction. My friends, we are moving this country to a standard of judicial oversight, full stop. Our rule is simple and straightforward. No judge's warrant, no interception. The bill which was passed in the House of Assembly last week carried an exception clause, a route by which an interception could be treated as lawful without a judge's warrant in specified circumstances. But after a thorough weekend review and after advice from the Attorney General, with input from the relevant authorities and stakeholders, and being mindful of public concern, we are satisfied that this exception ought not to be proclaimed and in fact should be repealed. We will therefore act accordingly by removing this clause in the Senate and sending the same back to the House of Assembly for concurrence. My friends, this government has the humility to listen and always the courage to correct. I promised you that on May 27th, 2018, and we will hold fast to that. We will keep refining the law where necessary so that it makes sense to the people it is required to protect. And let me also say this. I have read the Opposition's Commission on Crime report, as I promised to do last Friday in the debate when we spoke. I've always said that good ideas must contend, and on citizenship security, we are not partisan. Many of the proposals that the opposition have made are already in train. There is, however, one idea that stood out for me, which I want to just reinforce, because I believe that it requires serious consideration, and it is in the next step of what we would like to do next year, which is the notion of a unified family court. That is also a manifesto commitment of the Barbados Labour Party, bringing under one roof the services that protect children, families, and the most vulnerable with strong mediation and with social support. We are prepared to widen the national conversation on a few other of their initiatives as well. And that is exactly why I want not only to invite the leader of the opposition, but to also invite the chair of the Democratic Labour Party Commission on Crime, Ms. Ferla de Pisa, to meet with the Advisory Council on citizen security and to see what other aspects of it we can come to a unified position on. It matters not to me what route we get there, only that we have a unified country fighting the awful, awful specter of crime. I want to recognize Ms. DePisa, who led the Commission's work, and I congratulate her and all of the members for the time and effort invested in this important matter. I do not take these things lightly. My hope is that the opposition leader, therefore, will see the sincerity in the requests and to recognize that this government will not treat this space as a space for petty partisanship, but a place for all hands and all good ideas to contend. We can differ on many other things, but our country requires us to act in harmony on this matter. But also, let me be frank, some of the voices who shout, do something about crime, are the same voices who cry, not that, not that, whenever we act. Do something about the daylight robberies, they say. We change the tent rules as requested by the police of this country, who continue to be fearful for their lives when approaching cars, not knowing what lies behind a very dark, tinted, or titanium window. But they say, not that. Then they tell you, do something about criminals getting away with murder. And we make the move to make wireless interception admissible as evidence so real criminals will stop slipping through. Then you hear, no, not that either. At some point, Barbados, leadership must mean this. We will listen, we will consult, we will refine, but we will not be paralyzed by the impossible task of pleasing everyone. The rights of the many to live safe, decent lives cannot be held hostage by the few who would prey upon them. And we will lead, my friends, trust me, as we did before, through difficult moments, just as we did when we tried to save the dollar and our fixed exchange rate, just as we did when we tried to recover from the freak storm and the ashfall and indeed the hurricane, as we did in the pandemic, where discipline and clarity saw us safely to the other side. The lockdowns were not comfortable, but look how we came out on the other side. And we all know that very often in our personal lives, we have to go through some level of pain in order to recover whenever we are ill or whenever we have broken a bone. The second measure, my friends, is the Criminal Proceedings Witness Anonymity Bill. Too many cases regrettably collapse because good people are afraid, and with reason, believe you me. This law gives the court, not the government, the tools to protect identity when it is necessary, and only if it remains fair to the accused. That means judges can order screens, voice modulation, redaction of identifying details, and indeed special directions to juries to guard against any prejudice to the accused. It also creates penalties for those who would reveal a protected witness. The principle is simple. We will not let fear silence truth, and we will not permit truth to trample fairness. You cannot ask a mother to choose between her child's safety and the pursuit of justice. The third point I want to address is the Police Amendment Bill, which regularizes special constables as police officers, giving them a clear path into the police service and helping us to augment the numbers of persons doing surveillance, just as the Commission of Crime from the Democratic Labour Party has asked us to do. I would have spoken to this during the budget. And now we ensure that this will align, the amendment will align with our Constitution and modern policing practice. And why? You cannot build a first-class justice system on second-class arrangements for the people who stand between citizens and harm. This is about pensions for them. This is about training the officers. This is about standards that they must adhere to. And this is about the accountability that the country will demand of them. It is about their capacity so that when you call, that someone will answer. And when they answer, that they're empowered and they're professional to treat to your matters. Fourthly, the Juries Bill modernizes how we call and support jurors. Outdated property and income barriers belong to another era. Jury service, my friends, should look like Barbados across our communities, across ages, and across income levels. And if we ask you to serve, we must make it possible for you to do so without hardship. When juries are representative, verdicts carry the weight and legitimacy that justice demands. We must allow the jury system to work efficiently. We're therefore allowing for the joinder of indictments so that we would no longer have to do multiple trials involving differently constituted juries when a single jury trial would suffice. For example, if a man is charged with murder and rape and burglary all at the same time, we now have to hold separate trials because a murder jury is 12 and the other juries are 9. Let us remove that artificial barrier and save time, save money, and be fair to all. Fifth, the Firearms Amendment Bill tightens the law around illegal guns and components. My friend, this is about closing loopholes, supporting enforcement, and making sure that those who take people's lives face the full force of the law. A safer Barbados is not built by marching up and down every weekend. It is built by clear statutes, capable policing, and strong courts working together. We have to go back and do a slight amendment to that firearms amendment bill because we recognize that there may well be too broad a definition of components, and we need to qualify it by putting the word major before it so that persons are not inadvertently caught in the loop by dealing with components of firearms. When we put the five together, you see an architecture: tools to detect, protection to testify, people to police, citizens to judge, and laws to deter. This is critical, and each piece respects our Constitution. Each piece has guardrails, and even with the amendments that we're doing now, we are strengthening it as we go forward. Each piece answers a real problem in our justice chain. You might have said that the Attorney General should have taken more time and taken his time to get here, but the reality is that the pursuit of perfection very often in governance is the obstacle to progress, and what therefore is required sometimes is speed. But when we recognize that there are still things to be changed, we will change. This is what it means to govern in the public interest. And this, my friends, is taking the country in the right direction. I ask you to walk with us in these steps. A few nights ago, in the House of Assembly, the Minister of Home Affairs opened the second reading of two companion measures, the Immigration Bill 2025 and the Citizenship Bill 2025, and then asked that those bills go to the Parliamentary Governance Standing Committee for wider consultation before final passage. This is how big change should happen in a democracy, in the open, with the country invited to weigh in. My friends, let us be clear about who we are inviting home first. It is our Bajan family, our extended Bajan family. We will move from citizenship as a right for children of Bajans to citizenship as a right down to great-grandchildren. Because the first claim on Barbados must be those whose roots run deepest in our soil. And a great-grandchild is as important to a great-grandparent as their child and their grandchild. It is immediate and close. We will also honor our CARICOM family with preferential treatment in the acquisition of citizenship. Beyond family, we will welcome skills and investment that lift productivity, expand opportunity, and safeguard the Barbadian way of life. These companion bills sweep away the old immigrant status, and that, of course, is captured in the current act, which still and does recognize skills and investment as a basis for persons to come. This will have and create, however, a clear, humane path to permanent residence instead of immigrant status. They put reside and work on firm legal footings so that families are not left in limbo. That is the bills that we are talking about. And they give spouses of Barbadians a straightforward route to settle and contribute with automatic permanent resident status. Let me be extremely blunt. Barbados will not sell citizenship. We will not sell citizenship. Our passport, respected among the strongest in our region and the world for that matter, carries the value of who we are. It is not a commodity to be traded. Once you become a Barbadian, there are no first-class or second-class citizens, only equal rights and equal responsibilities. And why, my friends, is this move necessary? You've heard us speak about it over and over, but I repeat now, the numbers speak plainly. In the year 2000, Barbados recorded 3,642 live births and 2,444 deaths, a natural increase of just over 1,100 people. In 2024, births were 1,995, while deaths were 3,088, a natural decrease of 1,100 persons. My friends, this is our stark reality. So our path is sober planning, and our path must be about fairness. Our aim will always be to train and upskill Bajans first. And where gaps remain, we will bring in additional hands on time-bound transfer of knowledge terms. Each one, train one, so that Barbadians benefit first, last, and always, even as we keep this country moving in the right direction. The bills are publicly available and will be widely distributed, and I invite you to come forward and have your say. As the Parliamentary Committee does its work, we will listen to you. My friends, this is how we grow, welcoming those with a real stake in this country while protecting what we have built, for ultimately it widens opportunity, strengthens security, stabilizes our social security, and keeps Barbados growing in the right direction. That is democracy. Across Barbados, you can already see aspects of urban renewal taking shape. But the next step is about where people live, especially in Bridgetown and Greater Bridgetown. We will be using urban renewal as a tool, whether it is removing pit toilets from our landscape, upgrading water and sewage systems, improving storm drainage and street lighting, and making small gaps and alleys safer and more accessible in overcrowded districts, and ultimately reducing the density of housing in areas that are overcrowded. This is more than just being about beautifying our capital or Greater Bridgetown for it to be admired. It is about communities to be repaired, where families must be allowed to live with dignity and opportunity. To power that public work, we're pleased to have had the Saudi Fund for Development facility at signature, a financing program that will underwrite these urban renewal packages and also, from the health perspective, lead to the upgrade of our polyclinic network, with 2 new polyclinics to be built, namely one for the Eunice Gibson Center and for the Randall Phillips Center, and the other 7 polyclinics to be refurbished. And as it relates to the financing, let me put it plainly, because I have already heard the critics, another loan? Let me explain yet again, and I will keep doing. We borrow, yes. Mr. Barrett once told us that anybody who does not believe in deficit financing is anti-developmental because we have too far a bridge to carry. But when we borrow, we don't do so faster than the economy is growing. When a family's income rises faster than its loans, the loans get easier to carry. And for a country, it's the same way. As we borrow, we are literally building out capacity, and because the loan is spread over a long period of time, we get the benefit of growth to help you make that payment easier and easier and easier with each year. As the economy expands, debt becomes a smaller share of national income. And that is exactly what has been happening. And because this facility is also concessional with long years to repay and a grace period that is considerable, repayments grow lighter and not heavier as growth continues. That is back-end discipline enabling front-line change, so that the people of Bridgetown feel the difference first, so that the people who need healthcare in our districts all across the island benefit properly. And yes, at the same time, I should record for you that our unemployment in Barbados has fallen to a record low at 6.3% at the end of the first quarter of this year. But my friends, we take no pride in that, and we will not rest on our laurels. We are going to use the new National Jobs Register, which is being officially launched on August 25th, to map skills by parish and by trade, and to match Barbadians first to the vacancies created by this capital push. Technology allows us to do that more efficiently now. Employers will file vacancies with the register. We will search the database before any work permit decisions are made. And where gaps remain, we will train and upskill first, bringing in additional hands only on time-bound transfer of knowledge terms. This is sober planning rooted in fairness. And yes, it ensures that it's Bajans who can build the roads. It's Bajans who are going to be the lab techs so long as we have them available. It is Bajans who will be the operators so long as they're available. And let me say that even when foreign labor is working here, they are subject to the labor laws of this land. And I repeat myself, Barbados, my friends, this is us moving in the right direction, remaining faithful to our fundamentals and to our laws. My friends, I know the frustration that came about recently with the sanitation disruptions. I felt it just like you. When garbage piles up outside of your house, I know that often tempers rise as well, and you're justified in feeling that way. But I want to thank the Sanitation Service Authority for the work being done to catch back up over the course of the last week with its collections. It's not perfect, but it has largely been corrected. Our commitment is simple and measurable as we go forward. We want to have regular scheduled household pickups every week, island-wide, before the end of this financial year. And we will commit to 2 collections a week in all of the densely populated areas. We will move to the stage where we will publish properly routes and collection schedules, dispatch overtime and weekend crews where needed, and keep you informed in as close to real time as possible. That communication is possible with the technology, and we must rise to the occasion to give you the luxury and comfort so that you don't put out garbage cans unnecessarily for days. We have no interest in pointing fingers about the issue with the withdrawal of labor. We are interested in getting the job done. The people who keep Barbados clean deserve respect and the proper tools, and the public deserves reliable service equally. And this government must ensure that both sides are balanced. Let me come to the issue now of education. In Parliament, we signaled important shifts beginning with admissions reform from 2028 September. We are moving to continuous assessment across the primary years to complement the common entrance, not to totally replace it, but to balance it, so that a single morning at age 11 does not decide a child's whole life. We are also designing fairer admission policies. Marks, yes, will still matter, but so will the catchment area and the geography. We will ensure that each school's intake reflects the full talent of our communities. By December 2026, every Bajan student in primary school must be able to read. Yes, December next year. We are committed to that. And this is why we are driving a major national push on literacy and building the diagnostic capacity nationally to understand why a child may not be learning, so that we can intervene early, we can target the help, and yes, we can fix. You heard Minister Blackman launch Every Child Barbados. My friends, these 3 words will become the standard of how we treat to the education of our nation's children. And I say to you, yes, every child Barbados, not a single one left behind. We will equip our teachers with the tools they need, retraining, keep parents in the loop with clear milestones, and give children the confidence that somebody is watching, caring, and coaching them forward. In today's world, knowledge and information are literally in the palm of your hand. But what schools must give now is deeper. We must forge and ensure that their skills developed. We must nurture values and attitudes, and we must encourage the habit of excellence and caring among each of our children. And when we do so, we will do so in the context of not just teaching them academics or technical and vocational subjects, but we must and we will put sharper focus on social and emotional learning, because in truth, my friends, we are raising these children to be creative, disciplined, empathetic, respectful, dutiful, and discerning citizens. That is what we are doing. The race for excellence cannot be a sprint at age 11. It is not fair to them. It is a long distance journey that they will take, and we will take it actually with them. A marathon with people along the route, handing out water, handing out towels, and whatever else they need, so that every student reaches the finish line at their pace with their head held high. And in the midst of all this work, we were given a reminder of what Caribbean confidence looks like. Yes, yes. After an abysmal performance at the end of the Australian series, the West Indies fought hard and beat Pakistan in the just concluded series, and with that, set themselves on the road to the World Cup. That victory was not luck. It was discipline, determination, partnership, staying in the fight when the pressure rose and defeat was coming at them all around the place. Government, my friends, must always do the same. We must bat long. We must absorb the bounces and the body blows. And then when the pitch starts to even out, as it has been recently, with those measures that we have put in place, we can start to play the type of strokes that ensure prosperity for all. Safer streets, stronger schools, healthier communities, fairness in our labor market. That is our focus now. I will not pretend that crime vanishes because we pass laws, or that the cost of living falls because we give speeches. These are stubborn global pressures, but we are attacking them on multiple fronts: on crime, modern tools and fair trials, community policing, youth engagement and rehabilitation networks; on cost of living, pressure on import costs, attention to energy and food security, targeted relief for the most vulnerable, and a relentless focus on jobs, training, and investment, and looking at the fees surrounding the use of money. We will not always get everything right the first time, but we will never, never stop pushing, never stop adjusting, never stop fighting for relief and growth for Barbadian households and Barbadian businesses. Let me now address, my friends, a few of the familiar refrains that are being peddled on a daily basis in our country. Some of the people accuse us of political motivation for everything. And I say, no, everything that this government does is in fact mission oriented and motivated. There is a clear line of connection through it all to protect Bajans, to open opportunity for Bajans, and to build capacity in our country if we are to recover fully from the lost decade, and to continue to put ourselves in a competitive position against those who also invite others to do business with them and to settle and come to their countries. As for the noise online, let me talk straight about it, as you know I will. If day after day you go on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, X as it's called now, to bash and batter Barbados, what are you doing but pulling down our home and degrading our piece of the rock? Seek office if you want to, that's your right. Hold strong views if you must, that is your right. But that is not a license to distort, to inflame, or to make one perspective the entire whole truth. I have criticized in my time, and I will speak hard truths again. But the difference is this: facts first, evidence-based opinions, and consideration, yes, for people, their families, and their reputations, especially in a small jurisdiction such as ours. We must not set fire to the house that we all live in. That makes sense to you? If there's an issue, let us fix it. But setting fire to the house that we live in burns up all of us. As preposterous as it may seem, in recent days, a leader of a political party in this country went on social media to tell Barbadians that with the introduction of the national payment system and the Trident ID, you will not be allowed to vote in Barbados without the Trident ID. He went on that without the Trident ID, you cannot renew a driver's license, you cannot collect a pension or access health care, and that your child cannot be registered for school, or that you can't do business with government unless you have it, that you will not be able to do transactions in cash anymore. My friends, this is utterly and completely false. Full stop. It is reckless, and it is beneath anyone who seeks to lead a serious country. And I will say to him, as I said to the other political leader who attempted to cast scurrilous allegations against the Electoral and Boundaries Commission a few months ago, and by extension the government, to put up or shut up. Back up this foolishness that you are using to spread with evidence, or let us get on with the work in this country. Barbados has no time for manufactured panic and radio and social media theatrics. This does not help Bajans. Every hour wasted nursing rumors and conspiracy theories is an hour stolen from real work to benefit Bajans. We must not be dragged in to a circus of smoke and mirrors. This country has always demanded better of its political leaders. Let us debate the ideas. Let us argue from our different beliefs and perspectives. Let us disagree even on how things are to be done on process. But let us not fabricate allegations, falsehoods that will only result in causing more and more of our citizens to become disenchanted with the governance of our nation. And they quote the Bible liberally without forgetting, without remembering that the Bible also tells us not to engage in falsehoods. The trust in our country, my friends, has always been one of our greatest assets, and it separates us from many other countries. Other countries, in fact, envy us for it. We must not allow wild and reckless fabrications and false allegations to be paraded across our landscape by those who should know better, as a means by which they at best can promote themselves to higher office and at worst can lead the country into a level of apathy, cynicism, and divisiveness that will affect the quality of life of, yes, all Bajans. As I said before, trust yourself first. Trust the facts. Trust reputable sources. Traditional media is not perfect. Neither is the government. And neither, for that matter, you or I, we are not perfect either. But the path to truth and the path to building trust is not to declare Barbados the worst place in the world from a studio or a cell phone or from a position of anonymity as a ghostwriter. The path is certainly not to peddle conspiracy theories. The path, fellow Bajans, is to hold institutions to higher standards, to criticize constructively as you must, and to play our part as citizens in a democracy, recognizing our duty to each other. In the weeks ahead, the Senate will complete, as I said before, its part on the Justice Bill, and regulations will follow. I think that it is important that I continue to update you on what we will be doing as a government, and will do so every few weeks. We will break down the jargon for you in plain English and sometimes in Bajan, like what a judge issued interception warrant is and is not, how witness anonymity is decided, how your duties are as a juror, what are the changes to the Police Amendment Act. We will explain all of these things that will help you to understand what Barbados is engaged in. We will continue the conversation on education with teachers and parents and unions and students always at the center. And as health investments land, you will see the difference, not in press releases, but in service. From rubbing shoulders to Paris Speaks to Ideas Forum, we have always said we will hold your hand and speak with you and not at you. The world, my friends, is changing, and we must change with it. But take heart, we are heading in the right direction. This is government by engagement, not government by edict. Engagement may make things slower sometimes, but history has taught us that engagement is always better. Everyone must be involved in building our future. Parents who worry about school choices, nurses who stretch every shift, police officers who keep watch while we sleep, teachers who buy chalk sometimes from their own pockets, business owners who risk capital and create jobs. Young people who want a reason to stay in our country, a chance to try, and a fair shot, and if they fail, the ability to get up again. And creatives who turn rhythm into revenue. Faith leaders who bind together. Seniors who built this island with their hands and their hope. And a social partnership that works hard to ensure the best for the country. And a social justice committee that remains our conscience. This is your government saying, we are always better together. My friends, yes, we have miles to go, and there will be distractions, and there will be days when the noise threatens to drown out the truth. On those days, remember this conversation, please. Remember that your government is doing the work of protection and fairness, discipline and compassion, growth and inclusion. Remember that we are taking the country in the right direction by design and with steadiness, not for some of us, but for all of us, all who are willing. Since I mentioned that positive note earlier about the Windies, let me turn now to Carry Festa 15. Since 1972, our region has only had 14 Carry Festas in 53 years. Barbados has hosted it twice already in those 53 years. In just a few days, however, from August 22nd to August 31st, from next Friday, in fact, we do so for the third time. We become the beating heart of Caribbean culture as we host CariFesta 15 under the banner Caribbean Roots, Global Excellence. Across Bridgetown and beyond, there will be big conversations at Golden Square Freedom Park, starting next Saturday with Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves and myself, among others. And during the course of the big conversations, you will hear globally renowned US film director Ava DuVernay. You will have fashion from the Caribbean and Africa on Broad Street. You will have Bridgetown highlighted on Saturday morning, the 2 Saturdays of CariFesta. You will have the signature super concerts, too many names for me to even mention for you. Miss it and blame yourself. Soca and Caribbean jazz and world beat and reggae and a closed vintage Kaiso night, all staged at the Richard Stout Amphitheatre. We will welcome world-class dance with the National Dance Theatre Company of Jamaica and Lacadco, also from Jamaica, as well as the renowned Alvin Ailey School performing. We will have a dedicated film festival, a vibrant youth village at the Barbados Community College, and of course, there is the CariFesta Grand Market and Village. There will also be a recognition that there are authors that you want to hear, Marlon James and others. My friends, this Grand Market and Village is the largest in CariFesta's history. And because CariFesta is not only about who we are, but where we came from and where we went, this CariFesta will also embrace artists from Africa and Central and Latin America, including Ghana's Chief Moomin with the Mansa Musa and the Trail of Lost Gold, The Prelude, an excellent African musical telling us the story of the Kingdom of Mali. We will also feature Nigeria's Dear Kafi at the Daphne Joseph Hackett Theatre. And there are other plays that will include an audiovisual presentation, a multimedia presentation from Trinidad in tribute to the legendary Mighty Sparrow, and it is entitled 10 to 1. There's a play from Zimbabwe on reparations and other plays from other Caribbean nations. There will be delegations from across the Caribbean diaspora, each enjoying a national night in the CariFesta village. And indeed, you can enjoy there and get lost in the flavors of the region as you taste the food in the village. My friends, we will welcome over 2,500 delegates to our land, a number of heads of state and heads of government and ministers. And we will also have a CariFesta Youth Jamboree being organized by former Scout Commissioner Pastor Nigel Taylor, allowing us to be able to welcome and host young people, students, secondary school students from our region, in the Eastern and Southern Caribbean in particular. Let us, my friends, be the best host in the world. Let us smile and give directions and support our vendors, look out for the young people, teach them something about Barbados, fill the venues and show our guests that our Barbadian hospitality is as warm as our Bajan sunshine, especially in August. Show them why we have the highest repeat visitor factor in the region. Let it be a grand welcome or a grand welcome home to Barbados. Finally, my friends, we are a people of faith and of good sense. So I will do both things Barbados expects of its Prime Minister. I will pray that no hurricane or storm comes near us this season, and I invite you to do the same. But equally, we will prepare our country with calm and with care. Preparedness is not panic. It is the quiet habit of a sensible and caring nation. Our district emergency organizations are updating their parish lists even after the hurricane season starts. I'm therefore asking you to help them to continue to register seniors who may be living alone or other vulnerable persons who are in need of assistance if the weather ever tests us. We know who may need shelter and who must be checked first when the all clear comes. But sometimes there are gaps in our information, and this is where you play the difference. That simple act of neighborliness will save lives. Your government is matching that spirit. The shelters are ready, as you know already. The first responders have been keeping in practice, and our utilities, the Barbados Water Authority and the Barbados Light and Power, have over the years strengthened their resilience and restoration plans each season. This is how a small nation in a large ocean protects its own people. So, my friends, as I leave you today, I say simply, may God continue to strengthen and protect us as a nation. May God continue also to bless each of you as Barbadians and those living in Barbados. And may God give us the strength to stay focused on the plans to protect and prosper our nation and to ensure that there is no unfairness cast in its glow over our nation. Thank you, and God bless us all.